You know, it's a strange thing, isn't it? Why some of the smartest, most thoughtful people we know often seem to be the most solitary. It's really not a coincidence. Today, we're going to dig into the surprising psychological link between a sharp mind and, well, a lonely heart. Let's get into it.
Just picture this for a second. You're at a party, maybe a busy office. There's chatter and laughter all around you. You're part of it, right? You're smiling, nodding along. But deep down, you feel totally separate, almost like you're watching a movie of your own life from behind a glass wall. What is that?
That right there, that's the paradox. Being physically there, but emotionally, you're just worlds away. And what's fascinating is that psychologists have found this isn't just some random mood. It's a real pattern, and it's especially common among people with highly analytical minds. Understanding the why behind it can be a total game changer.
So where does this feeling of isolation even start? Well, it all begins right up here, in the mind. See, for really intelligent people, the world isn't just a series of events happening. It's this incredibly complex web of patterns, hidden motives, and deeper meanings that are just begging to be taken apart and understood. Think of conversation like an ocean. A lot of people are perfectly happy splashing around in the shallows. Talking about the weather, what they did last weekend. It's easy, it's predictable. But for a mind that's wired for depth, that's just not enough. It craves that deep dive, the thrill of exploring complex ideas. So small talk doesn't just feel boring, it feels fundamentally unsatisfying. And here's what happens. When your mind is basically a submarine exploring the ocean floor and everyone else is just riding jet skis on the surface, you end up feeling completely on your own. It's a kind of mental solitude that can pop up even in the most crowded room you can imagine.
Okay, so this internal world of deep thought, it obviously starts to shape how you connect with other people. Because look, it's one thing to think differently. It's a whole other thing when that difference is constantly being misunderstood. Does this sound familiar? Or maybe you've heard, just relax, or my personal favorite, it's not that deep. Now, people who say these things usually don't mean any harm, but for someone whose natural state is to explore the depths, hearing that can feel incredibly dismissive. And every single time a deep thought gets brushed aside like that, it's like another brick is laid in a wall between you and the other person. And over time, that wall, it becomes a fortress. And it leaves you feeling totally isolated and just profoundly misunderstood.
So what happens when you constantly feel like you're on a different wavelength? Well, you start to filter people. It's not about being picky or snobby. It's just about seeking quality over quantity. You stop craving a huge circle of friends and start looking for just a few solid connections built on real curiosity, emotional honesty, and that shared depth.
And here's the real challenge. Finding people who can actually meet you in that deep water, it's just incredibly rare. It's kind of like searching for a specific tiny constellation in a galaxy of billions of stars. Yeah, those stars are out there, but they are few and very, very far between. And this brings us to a really critical choice. For many intelligent people, the solitude of being alone is way less exhausting than the loneliness of being with the wrong people. It's not a failure to connect. It's a conscious choice to protect their own energy and their own integrity. Now, this decision to embrace solitude, it's often fueled by two really powerful and maybe seemingly contradictory traits: a fierce independence and a really deep sensitivity. So first, independence. A key trait of so many intelligent people is their self-reliance. They are natural-born problem solvers. They're often way more comfortable tackling a complex issue on their own than trying to do it in a group. Honestly, this independence is a superpower. But you know how every superpower has its flip side, right? This incredible independence can accidentally build an invisible wall. When you're just so used to being your own hero, it's really easy to forget how to ask for help or lean on someone else. And that can create an emotional gap you didn't even mean to make. Okay, now let's talk about sensitivity. And I want to be really clear. This is not about weakness. It's about processing the world with a higher emotional resolution. Words, actions, even a tiny shift in someone's tone, all of it is felt more deeply and it's remembered for a lot longer. So when you feel things that intensely, what's your first instinct? You protect yourself. And sometimes staying quiet, keeping your distance. Loneliness itself becomes a kind of shield. It's a way to guard your sensitive inner world from the sometimes casual harshness of the outer one. So after all this, where does that leave us? Well, it leads to a fundamental shift in how we need to look at this kind of loneliness. It is not a character flaw that needs to be fixed. It's a complex experience that just needs to be understood.
This is so important to hear. Feeling lonely is not a sign that you are broken. In fact, modern psychology is starting to look at concepts like positive solitude, suggesting that it can actually be a sign of a rich inner life and really high standards for connection. Think about it this way. Your solitude is often just a reflection of your values. It means you choose meaningful substance over all the superficial noise out there. It shows you respect yourself enough not to settle for less. You're not antisocial, you're selectively social. So what do you do with this feeling? The key is not to try and change who you are. It's about accepting your nature. It's about focusing on finding even one deep connection over 100 shallow ones. And it's about channeling all those complex thoughts into something creative. Writing, music, art, whatever works for you. The final and most crucial thing to remember through all of this is that you are not broken, you are not strange, and you are absolutely, positively not alone in feeling this way. And that rarity, that's a strength. It's something to be understood and valued, not something that needs to be cured. The real question isn't about how to escape this feeling, but how to honor it.